Oh. Satchidanandarupaya Vishvotpatyadihetave Tapatraya Vinashaya Shri Krishnaya Vayam Numaha. Janmadyasya yatonvayaditaratascharteshvabhignaswarat Tene brahmahradaya adikavaye muhyanti yatsu surayaha Tejo vari mridam yatha vinimayo yatra trisargo mrisha Dhamna svena sada nirastakuhakam satyam param dhimahi Dharma projita kaitavotra paramo nirmatsaranam satam Vedyam vastavamatra vastu shivadam tapatrayon mulanam Shrimad Bhagavate Mahamunikrite Kim va parerishwaraha Sadyo hridyavarudyate trakritibihi Shushrushubistatkshanat. Hari Om, and greetings from Niagara Falls. The less mature one is, generally and certainly as a seeker, the more the teaching is of kartavya karma. That you should do this because this is your responsibility. The more mature one is, in general, and certainly as a seeker, then one evolves from kartavya karma to Bhagavata dharma. That one is still engaged in their responsibilities, but not out of a sense of I have to do this or I'm supposed to do this, but rather this is an expression of love. With kartavya karma, there are conditions, space, matter, time. With Bhagavata dharma, it does not matter what space or matter or time one is in. One is feeling this love, is trying to express this love. And the greater one's altar, the greater one's joy. In a micro example, when Bhagwan Hanumana, his altar was Sugriva, and Bhagwan Hanumana was marginally great and marginally happy. When Bhagwan Hanumana's altar became Bhagwan Rama, he became infinitely great and infinitely happy. The vision of Vedanta and Bhagavata is to be more joyous. How? To have not a great altar, but the greatest altar. And there's such a methodology to this. Our default altar is our personality. In Meaningful Mornings, I described this as vasana or varna. And if we're invoking more love, evoking more love, I shift my love from Vivek's personality to a person. Persons. It could be family. It could be community. Greater than this is purpose. It could be dharma. It could be seva. But the greatest altar is presence. Bhagavan Rama, Bhagavan Krishna. Once nature. This is what we're trying to do, class after class, year after year. Shared in a simple way to grow out of karma yoga and into bhakti yoga. I know a lot of you are in this class because you don't know how to navigate or be oriented towards bhakti yoga, which is why I keep sharing these frameworks. In chapter 70, we explored the dina, a day in the life of Bhagavan. And Bhagavan's day flowed through dhyana, dhamma, dana, dharma. I had shared at the end of the happiness series that the 5th part of the happiness series was actually designed around this chapter. I'll explain that now. What is dhyana in the happiness series? This was day 4 on Sat. What is Dhamma? That was day 3 on Satya. What is Dana? Day 2 on Sattva. Do you remember how much I emphasized matter management? And what is Dharma? Day 1 or Satsanga. It's the happiness series. How can I start with, with Sat? There has to be a build-up to this Sat. When one lives a day like Bhagavan, or the frameworks I'm sharing, one will feel the shad urmayaha less. You'll be less hungry, less thirsty. I was just sharing in the Cleveland Assembly that Sheila and I had more time last night, so we started a Bollywood movie. Dil Dharakne Do. How many of you have seen this? And there's one scene where Anil Kapoor is mean to his wife the whole movie, but one particular scene. And in the next scene, what is shown is her binge eating. It's a sad scene. I don't mean that humorously, that she's just eating and eating and eating. And I connected it to this shad urmayaha. This hunger is not a genuine hunger, but there's an incompleteness that she's trying to fill through eating. But if one's day is filled with satsanga, sattva, satya, sat, all of this will be reduced. In chapter 71, Rishi Narada comes to Bhagavan Krishna and shares the intention of Raja Yudhishthira, that he wants to engage the Rajasuya Yajna. At the same time, there's a message from a large group of kings who are suffering and they need help. So Bhagavan Krishna asks Rishi Uddhava, you figure out what I'm supposed to do. And Rishi Uddhava shares, you should help the kings first, because that is elemental to be able to engage in the Rajasuya Yajna. And Bhagavan Krishna smiles and nods. I never thought of that. Thank you for thinking of that. And this is all Bhagavan Krishna's graciousness to not take credit. I was listening to Puja Swami Tejomayananda's share recently. Do you know what the original social media was? I've been telling you books. He said saints. What do saints do? They spread the word of Bhagwan, correct? Like Rishi Narada, like Rishi Uddhava, and they do it for free. In chapter 72, the focus is on Jarasandha, the one who Shri Krishna or Bhagwan Krishna defeated 17 times, then as if lost once, and now defeated finally. I have more details to share with you about Jarasandha. It's quite fascinating, but I'll do so when I have more time, which means never. But I will try. And that's where we had completed our class. We continue on to chapter 73 and 74 and 75. In chapter 73, when Jarasandha had been defeated, had been destroyed, then all of these leaders who were used to being free and had been captive for so long, when they saw Bhagwan Krishna, what they saw was a vision of rain and earth being mixed together. Bhagwan Krishna's skin is the rain, or the color of rain, and Bhagwan Krishna's clothes are the color of earth. And this is what they saw. They saw nature. They used every facet of their sense organs to try to input more and more and more of Bhagwan Krishna. They stopped blinking. They were visualizing their hands becoming part of his hands. And in this experience, they shared with Bhagwan Krishna, we don't want to be saved from Jarasandha. We want to be saved from samsara. And that's what I'm going to read to you now. The 10th skanda, the 73rd adhyaya, the 9th shloka, 1073, 9. This is the prisoners who are now free speaking to Bhagwan Krishna. Nainam nathan vasuyamo magadam madhusudana anugraho yad bhavato rajñam raj achyutir vibho. They share with Bhagwan Krishna that we have no resentment towards Jarasandha. We have no sadness that he took away all of our position, possession, pleasure. Why is this? He is the one who brought us to you. If there was no Jarasandha, then who else wouldn't be there as if Bhagwan Krishna? This is exactly what Sugriva says to Bhagwan Rama about Vali. Who is my best friend? Vali. Why? Because Vali brought you into my life. Reflect on that and think about all of the suffering, all of the negativity that you have experienced, are experiencing, will experience. Can this help you to remember Bhagwan Krishna, Bhagwan Rama, Bhagwan? These leaders share with Bhagwan the pleasure and possession and position in our lives have made us indiscriminate. They have made us aviveki. We have forgotten what's important. And in this forgetfulness, we became competitive, fighting against each other, which is why it was easy for Jarasandha to capture all of us. How real this is. I shared this in the happiness series. When one forgets what's important, they become exclusive. When they remember what's important, they become or grow in inclusivity. It is through your grace that we now want your guidance, not on being free physically, but being free metaphysically. And Bhagavan Krishna gives amazing guidance, which I'm going to read in its entirety in English to everyone. This is most practical. Bhagavan's responding to these physically freed personalities. Knowing that the body and all things which have a beginning are sure to have an end, be thoughtful and introspective. Worship me. I'm again reminding you, Bhagavan Krishna is speaking to them, with sacrifices, and protect your subjects according to the laws of Dharma. Beget worthy progeny. In joy and in sorrow, in prosperity and in adversity, remain with firm faith in me. Living without much attachment to body, wealth, etc., ever finding joy in the Atman, observing strict discipline in life, and fixing the mind in me, you will in the end attain to me, Brahman, without difficulty. Bhagavan Krishna helped all of these leaders. He honored all of them. He physically freed them, but I had shared with all of you last class, he had them bathed, he gave them possessions, and now he's given them guidance too. And so they all lived happily ever after. The end of this chapter is where Bhagavan Krishna returns to Raja Yudhishthira, and he's so overwhelmed that Jarasandha has now been destroyed and Bhagavan's with him that he couldn't speak. We continue to chapter 74 and 75. And these are chapters you know, but I'll explain more. They're in reference to Shishupala and Duryodhana. Why do you know them? Because these are the personalities we like to act like in our Balavihar plays, in our workplaces, and so on. 1074, 46, the 46th shloka. Rishi Shuka is sharing with Raja Parikshita. Janmatrayanugunita Vaira samrabdhaya dhiya dhyayam stanmayatam yato bhavo hi bhavakaranam. Rishi Shuka says to Raja Parikshita, the 3 births have now been completed. And in each of these births, these persons were constantly engaged in dhyana on Bhagavan. And the completion of this is they became Bhagavan. What 3 births is he referring to? I'll come to that, okay? But to complete that thought, Jaya and Vijaya. This is now the completion of their births. For a Rajasuya Yajna to happen, please remember this, because one day you may choose to engage in a Rajasuya Yajna. It starts with, number 1, Dik Vijaya. Dik Vijaya is where you work to unify all leaders. So like the United Nations. Dikvijaya. Number 2, Agra Puja. Agra Puja is where you remember all of this unification happened because of one being. Agra Puja. That is to praise the most important. Then number 3 is the Rajasuya Yajna. Now, if you follow this order, the Dikvijaya is now complete, correct? Jarasandha has now been destroyed. What is to happen now? Agra Puja. All of these people involved have to choose who is the most important. So imagine thousands of amazing Devis and Devas are having this dialogue amongst themselves about who is to be honored. I'm going to share 4 paragraphs with you now. I'm going to read them in English, and I want you to have your eyes closed. I want you to engage in dhyana on these sentiments. So everyone, close your eyes. I will read slowly. You listen carefully and engage in dhyana. Internalize this. Thousands have gathered. A dialogue is being facilitated. Who do we identify for the Agra Puja? Raja Yudhishthira begins. He shares, O lotus-eyed Lord, O all-pervading one, that thou of such transcendent nature should carry out the directions of persons like us, who are subject to various sorrows, but pretend to be lords, is only a feature of thy mysterious divine play. Continue to reflect and contemplate. Raja Yudhishthira continues. As the light and heat of the sun remain the same in spite of continuous burning, no action can enhance or dim the spiritual glory of thee, the one without a second, the Brahman, the Supreme Spirit. Continue to contemplate. Of all the brothers, Sahadeva is known to be most intelligent. He shares, therefore, let Krishna be worshipped as the first among the honored guests. By so doing, we shall be worshiping all beings, including ourselves. Contemplate. Sahadeva continues, those who wish the fruits of their gifts to be endless should offer them to Krishna, the soul of all beings, the perfect, the supremely peaceful, in whose eyes nothing is different from himself. Continue to contemplate. Gently open your eyes. We're still trying to decide who should be the one for the Agra Puja? Have you decided? All are in agreement other than Shishupala. Shishupala objects. Here is some history into Shishupala you may or may not know. He is Jaya. Jaya is one of Bhagavan Narayana's guards. And he was arrogant, and he was cursed, yet blessed, to become Hiranyaksha, to become Kumbhakarna, to become Shishupala. When he was born with 4 arms. And that's fascinating. As the guard, who would he always be looking at? Bhagavan Narayana. How many arms does Bhagavan Narayana generally have? 4. And there was a prophecy in whoever's lap this infant sits and 2 of these arms fall off, that being will be the cause of the death of this Shishupala. So one day when Bhagavan Krishna came to Shishupala's home when he was an infant, and Shishupala was put in his lap, 2 of those arms fell off. And so Bhagavan Krishna was to be the cause of the death of Shishupala. In this sabha, Shishupala states that Bhagavan Krishna has no dharma. Obviously, he's the one who originated dharma. Bhagavan Krishna has no pura, which means he has no city. He says he went and built a city in the ocean. That's amazing. That's a reason why he should be part of this Agra Puja. And you may have forgotten this, that Shishupal thought that he was the fiancé of Devi Rukmini. So he had a lot of negativity that he was feeling towards Bhagavan Krishna. So he starts being abusive to him verbally in front of everyone. And the Pandavas, they were infuriated by this. So Bhima and Arjuna, they get up. And Shishupala has lost his mind. He gets up, he's going to start to fight them. He picks up his sword, he picks up his shield. And what does he do? When Shishupala's mother saw that 2 of his arms had fallen off and that Bhagavan Krishna would be his death, she said, please don't be the cause of his death. And he said, I will openly forgive your son for 99 insults. Openly. He may think of me 1,000,000 times, but if he insults me openly 99 times, I will forgive him. But for the 100th, I will not. And so what did Shishupal do? Abuse after abuse. And Bhagavan's counting this in front of everyone. 98, 90, 99. It's like I do with our children. Vyasa, 3, 2. But he doesn't listen. Neither did Shishupal. And it was the 100th time. And then immediately, the Sudarshana Chakra appears and destroyed Shishupala. And just like with Ravana, what happened? The light of Shishupala merged with Bhagavan Krishna. And this is an amazing happening, but an amazing sadhana for us. As I told you, a guard is always looking at who? Whom they're guarding, correct? Shishupala, he was Jaya, and he was not cursed, but he was blessed. Every time he incarnated, with each time there was more purity of mind. he as if hated Bhagavan Krishna. So who did he think about the most? And when his mind was completely purified, he merged with Bhagavan Krishna. The message is, don't hate Bhagavan Krishna. The message is, purify your mind. You're all thinking, whoa, so practical. Even if you're going to hate him well then. And I said it, so I have to complete it. Let's go to the next chapter 2. Let's finish this negativity. Chapter 75. And I am reading the 38th verse. This again is Rishi Shuka speaking to Raja Parikshita now, not about Shishupala, but Duryodhana. Jahasa bhimastam drishtva striyo nirpatayo pare nivaryamana apyangam ragnya krishnanumoditaha. When Bhima saw, what did he see? Duryodhana fall. What did he do? Jahasa. He started to laugh. And then the other people in the sabha started to laugh too. The devas, the devis. And who tried to stop them from all of this? Raja Yudhishthira. Who didn't stop them from doing all of this? Bhagavan Krishna. Bhagavan Krishna encouraged them to laugh. And this becomes the direct seed for the Mahabharata war, which naturally is the container for Bhagavad Gita. And you don't believe in Leela. Look at the details of this Leela, how everything is perfectly designed in this Rajasuya Yajna. Raja Yudhishthira was the project manager. And he assigned responsibilities to everyone. I'm going to read them to you. Bhima controlled the kitchen. We know that. And Duryodhana, the treasury. Everyone who came to the Rajasuya Yajna brought gifts. Sahadeva was in charge of reception, and Nakula was entrusted with the collection of all stores. Arjuna was engaged in serving the elders, while Krishna washed the feet of guests on arrival. Draupadi attended to the serving of food, and the liberal-minded Karna supervised the bestowal of gifts, or dana. I'm highlighting this to you because Raja Yudhishthira felt like everyone was a family. He treated Duryodhana, Karna, etc. as his brothers. Upon the completion of the Rajasuya Yajna, everything is now complete. So everyone is in Raja Yudhishthira's sabha. And everyone is happy. In all of this merrymaking, there's many details about how people are throwing color at each other in powder form and liquid form. What do we call that? Holi. That's specifically shared. They were shooting syringes of color. Very awesome. And Raja Yudhishthira has a huge smile on his face, and right beside him is Bhagavan Krishna. And Rishi Shuka says that Bhagavan Krishna is like Raja Yudhishthira's eye. That's such a beautiful thought, to have Bhagavan as your eye. And he is our eye. We just forget that. Now Duryodhana, who was in charge of the treasury, the more the gifts that came, the more what did he feel? Jealous. And I had never heard this before, but I read it in this chapter. Duryodhana mrite papam kalim. That Duryodhana has part of the spirit of Kali. That's very fascinating. that he's an expression of Kali, Duryodhana was jealous. Throughout this chapter, what is described is how he was forever burning, starting with for Draupadi. He wanted to be with Draupadi. Then Indraprastha. When the Pandavas came back, the Kauravas didn't give them half of Hastinapura. They said, you go take this barren land. And that barren land became more prosperous. It was known as Indraprastha, then Hastinapura. He was intensely jealous. And so after all of this was completed and everyone was relaxing, he came into this sabha shouting. He was belittling all of the guards, and he came with his weapons raised. Imagine if you just had a vivaha that you went to or you organized and everyone's just relaxing, and then someone with so much negativity comes. And when he walked into this sabha, this palace and this room was created by Maya. Maya is a magician. And the magic of this palace and this courtroom is that it is very difficult to make the distinction between land and water, water and land. When Duryodhana walked in and he was looking in front of him, he perceived water, so he pulls up his dhoti, and it turns out to be land. And that it continues the devolving of Duryodhana's feeling. So now he's perceiving even more wrongly, and he sees land, and it ends up being water. And he falls into that water. And as I shared, Bhima and everyone else starts to laugh, and Raja Yudhishthira, he tries to stop them. And Bhagavan Krishna, he's hitting everyone with his elbows and winking. More. Anumodita. Bhagavan Krishna is happy and he's making other people be happy also. The one Vedantic reflection to both of these chapters that focus on Shishupala and Duryodhana. We decide the emotions we feel. Shishupala decided to hate Bhagavan Krishna. Duryodhana decided to be jealous of Raja Yudhishthira. We decide our emotions. And I had shared that in the happiness series. Who fertilizes your thoughts? You do. It's your post office. Do you want to open up your gas bill? Or do you want to open up the gifts that come from your family and your friends? We decide. Oh.